2021. So today is more of a kind of sneak peek on our part of some of the changes. Our asset register or property register has been massively successful probably over the last 18 months, 2 years. It's really kind of taken off from this kind of drive from local and central government to this drive to understand what assets they have and to make sure that they're, I suppose, captured not just from a financial aspect but from a geographical aspect as well. So I'm going to touch on some of the changes that we're making to the platform itself, and we're going to split it into two parts. Kieran's going to show some of the changes we're going to make to the back end around kind of a disposals layer, and which will eventually feed into more changes later down the road, like a current interest register. And then I'm going to touch on kind of reporting and some of that integration. Again, Kieran mentioned about FME. We tend to use it on every project just because of its rich power, and looking through the list of people or attendees, I don't think there's anybody here that doesn't use FME. You're very, very familiar with the product, but again, just to kind of reiterate, I suppose probably back in early 2000 we did our first transaction register or property transaction register, and that was built on the WebMap platform. A few years later then we upgraded again or re-platformed again to Smart Client for even more and richer usability for end users. And then about, I'd say, 18 months to 2.5 years ago, we moved to Map Enterprise. Again, you've heard us speak about the benefits of Map Enterprise all day today, so I won't labor them too much. But the reason, I suppose, the move to this is there's also that ability for obviously 3D in the future for mobile workflows, etc. So it made sense for us to start to use Map Enterprise. We were also able to really refine the requirements based on user groups and steering committees you're with central government to kind of give non-GIS or non-IT experts a very simple interface to be able to capture an asset, edit an asset, report on an asset, etc. So we're going to touch on that today. So Kieran's going to queue up first on the disposal side of things, but again, just to touch on that kind of targeted workflow, and I think that's what we're trying to show today. Like what I say about FME, it's kind of like a bag of Lego. You can apply it to whatever the business problem is or whatever the need is, whether that's internal or public facing. So again, Map Enterprise has that ability to give people this targeted workflow like asset management or any of the examples that Armin gave around obviously ports management, or if it was disaster management, etc., or smart cities. So it's not, I suppose this slide is a little bit confusing in the sense of it's not that a manager's job is simple, but they don't need to understand the complexity as GIS professionals, as IT professionals. Obviously, we know how hard you work to maintain your data sources, to make sure they're up to date, that they're valid, that they're accessible, and same as specialist divisions like asset care. Again, really, really high intensive work that you guys do in the background to provide these services both internally to the council or to the agency, but also out to the public. The manager's job is simple as in the sense of they don't understand where the databases are or what coordinate systems it's in, but they just need a dashboard. How many assets do we own? How many we have disposed? How many assets do we have in a particular area, etc. And that's kind of what we loved about Map Enterprise, and we chose to re-platform. So I'm going to stop sharing now in a second. I'm going to hand over to Kieran, but what Kieran's going to show is some of this kind of changes that we've made to Map Enterprise. Now, we still have to bring it all together. This is kind of like a tech preview, give you a bit of an idea of what's coming down the line. So again, it's this disposals workflow to be able to just create and edit disposed assets. And we've updated the not only the back end to be able to handle these kind of queries or this additional information, but also the user interface to make it nice and simple to be able to run these workflows. Again, these layers can be styled, and again, there's lists. And then finally, this is kind of us moving towards that ability to have a current interest layer as well inside it. So Kieran, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to hand over to you. That worked. I can't hear you, Kieran. You muted?
Yes, I can only click 2 buttons at one time. I'm not really good at multitasking, you know. Okay, so I will flick to Map Enterprise here. Now I don't get to show the nice black screen that Marcus had, because we don't have our hands on it yet. So this is the 2019 version. You can see it's the dark green version. The colors keep changing. It started bright green, now went to a darker green, and now it's gone black. So I'm not sure what that tells us about Map Enterprise. So I've logged in already. I'm logged in as Praguti here, and we have this is this comes with a health warning. I know Marcus is holding his cards pretty close to his chest with the new release of Map Enterprise. This is definitely in development. It's mid-development, so if it crashes or does anything funny, don't hold it against me. But we wanted to show you this because it's, as Garrett said, the disposals workflow has been something that our customers have been asking for a while. We do have a lot of people now on the asset register in Ireland. We've always captured the acquisition of the asset and managed that asset. But again, a big requirement from the customers naturally is if a local authority buys an asset, is the ability to dispose of that asset or to sell that asset. Also, the disposals are not usually one-for-one. So you might buy a 100-acre site as a local authority, but you may only sell a portion of it off, or portions at different points in times. So being able to have the split a partial in a number of pieces to record the original acquisition, to record the disposal or disposals, and to also, as Garrett mentioned, the current interest, to know what it is you actually own. So you bought X, you sold off Y, you currently own X minus Y. So that's the functionality that we're hoping to have out in the next month or so. We're definitely able to give you a sneak peek this morning. So for those who may not have seen the asset register and Map Enterprise before, and we'll zoom in here into Monaghan, who are one of the early adopters and have been great supporters with us with the Map Enterprise. I can zoom in this area. Now the data is made up data, so there's nothing real apart from the OSI data. And I can create a property acquisition. So I can go in and capture an asset, hit the button, it brings up the asset workflow. I put in the file number, my tab, I pick my type, so it's a land, let's say. I give another asset number. Now these are all configurable, that things we can change. And you can see because it's land, the asset ID was LAND and it's picked up. And I can pick a department. Again, I pick Clonus and I'll give it a name. So now I can, and I should give it a proper name, my field. And I can now capture the record, which again, you'll have all seen this ability before, how we can actually do data capture. You can see how straight away we're able to snap to the record and it follows the line. And I can then draw my big, and you can see I'm a terrible digitizer. I can draw my field and save it in the database. So I hit save and I've now created my site. So we've now got our acquisition and you can see it's now been saved, and the other forms are then opened up. So you can see disposals in the future. This is the piece we'll be changing. You can see the asset details and automatically it's calculated the area of the asset captured. And then we've got the acquisition information, so I could put down who I bought it from, record that information in the system, and address and the type of acquisition, CPO, all that very important information that the council need to get. And all this is driven through the asset system. And you can see it's on a planning record query as well here. And I can save the record. The workflow is now ended, and we can see the application is now in the map. And we've also got our tooltip for that record. So that's workflow that we've had before. We've also got the ability to search for assets in the system. So we've the really nice search and filter control that you can go in and look up assets, zoom to them, see them. Again, I won't go into too much because we're tight for time, but that's what we've shown you before. And we have the ability to delete an asset again, and that's got an audit trail. But the piece we wanted to show this morning was if I click on the record and go action, we now have asset disposal. So we have before the ability to see the asset, edit the geometry, but we're now adding the extra additional workflow, which is asset disposal. So I can click on the asset disposal. I can select, and again, this is in development, so I can select it's a pure disposal, rent, lease, or whatever we want to put into it. And now I'm able to do the disposal capture. And now I can draw the disposal inside the site. Now, at the minute, we're not doing the full validation, but when we release this, it will say if I draw outside the polygon, you have a mistake, has to be inside the existing record. But that's just being finished off as we speak. So I can capture the polygon, hit save, and we've now got our disposal. And what will happen in the back office, and again, just being finished off, or will be finished off in the next week or two, we'll do two things. We will clip that area from the current interest. So we'll have three features. We'll have the acquired record. We will have the current interest, so which will be the big blue polygon less the slightly purpley one. And then we'll have the disposal feature, which we have now. So we have the disposal asset, which we can now see on the map, and it'll have its own feature and its own capability. So you can then see it. And then, of course, I can, on the asset, the disposal, I can actually delete the disposal, I can view it, I can edit it. And again, this is stuff that's in development, so you can see we've now got the disposal and it's now created as a separate record. So this, again, if we were face-to-face, to be an applause at this point, because it has been asked for a wee while, and we're delighted now to be bringing this out into the next release of the 2021 of the Asset Register, which is becoming so popular with the councils. And Garrett, with that, I'll pass back to you.
Brilliant, thanks for that, Kieran. I think it's worth mentioning again is just that in the back end that there is all of that audit functionality as well. So if someone is disposing or deleting of an asset, it's not just one individual. So if Kieran tried to delete that asset or dispose of it, we've got things like two-step authentication. So it will be passed to me to confirm that you've also deleted it as well, or that I'm confirming that it's okay if you delete. So we've got these different rules that we've built in based on actual feedback from our customers. So just let me share mine quick. So the second, as Kieran had mentioned, this was probably a popular request from out of the agencies that we've spoken to. But on the second part of that is also reporting. So I know a lot of the legacy asset or property management tools have legacy reporting, and it's something that's quite time consuming for end users. They might have senior managers or a counselor or somebody ask how many particular types of an asset do in a particular area, how much of it has been disposed, etc. So we've always had okay reporting with inside Map Enterprise, so you can pull out these lists. We'll go out to Excel, but we've gone a step further and integrated in FME to do kind of that extra little step. So again, you can have these automated or scheduled on demand report generation. Again, they're dynamic and interactive, which I'm going to show to you shortly now. And as well, today we're just going to show HTML, but these could also come out to the likes of Word. We already have Excel there, PowerPoint, PDF, etc. So again, it's not an exhaustive list of the type of reports that can be generated. Again, the changes that we're going to make, you can then build on from there as well. So the example that we're going to use is one that comes up when we speak to people around how many, or when is our next renewals due. So how many leases are due for renewal over the next 30 days, for example. So that's the example that we did. But again, you can have multiple reports, and that feeds me on to the next piece in terms of the integration, which is that kind of self-service portal as well. So this ability to link out to FME server, which now has the ability to have these lovely galleries, which again have access control. They can be role driven. Again, you can add an additional hyperlink. So it's giving with inside Map Enterprise a button to be pressed that will open up a kind of a self-service reporting portal, where people can get access to the information that they need instead of spending literally 3 days. Some of these reports can take to get information from around the organization. So I'm going to jump out without further ado and show it to you quickly. Bear 1 second. Stop sharing first. Actually, no, I don't. So again, similar to what Kieran had showed, this is Monaghan. So I'm just going to go into an example area. So there's a couple of ways you can generate these reports. So we've got two different report types. You can have a report that you can just right click on. You can view assets, so you can do it from the map. I'll pull this in. And you have this get report button just up here, and it will automatically generate a report for that specific record. And that can also be done through the search functionality at the top. So there is one that I prepared earlier. Is, oh, the filter's already there, but pretend it wasn't, and I'll just put it in now. So 2035, apply filter, and again you'll see Garrett Cronin test. Again, I can go settings, or sorry, I can go to edit, and it'll generate the will open up the page. So I have all the asset information. I can change it. I can update it even before I run the report. Of course, reports generating on a second page. And what it's doing is it's going off, it's calling FME, and FME is going off and doing a spatial query based on this particular asset that's here. So again, this is just a really basic one that we put together ourselves. So you've got some basic asset information. So again, around the acquisition, so you can see it came from Bob Stewart, the owner of IMGS that we acquired it from. You can see some where if it hasn't been disposed yet, so there's no disposal information, some lease information, who the occupier is, etc. And then again, you have this nice interactive map, so you can see where that particular asset is in relation to the area. We also popped in this little print button as well to make it really easier for end users to be able to print this or give it to a colleague or print a PDF, whatever it may be. And you can see the report that's here as well. So this is just one step in terms of reporting on a single asset. The second piece is the ability to be able to do a summary report. So we've added in an additional tab just up here. And if we click on it, what it's doing right now is it's actually calling FME Cloud, which is a server app in isolation. So you can see this app. Again, these can be completely styled. This is an image from our website. Again, just that it's a report. I want the report to run for February, so I want to see how many assets that I own are up for renewal this month. Again, it does this query. It opens up this really, really nice page with some asset summaries. So many assets are there. Got this kind of BI style HTML interface where you can click on and off to see some statistical information. Again, department by owners, again, you can click on these and you can see that it changes. And down here we have some just fake information, assets due for lease renewals this month. So again, as an end user, I can go, okay, I need to work on these. I need to speak with maybe our legal department or finance department to get that documentation together. Again, there's that printability down here as well, where you can click that print. So I'm just going to jump back here. So when I click this button here, as I said, it's opening up a server app, but this could a single one. But again, this could be a gallery. So again, it can open up a gallery like this example we did around commercial properties for Dublin Airport. So again, where you can have a list of different reports. So one could be what are due for renewal, how many have we disposed, how many have we assets have we acquired, and you can have these multiple reports in a lovely branded interface, and you can click in and you can put in some additional information about the particular asset before the report is generated. Same as a mock-up that we did for Dublin City Council. So again, you'll have these multiple kind of reports, but also you can have links to document management systems, which is there already, or external links or Teams, whatever it may be. So it's really kind of lift that kind of functionality and collaboration around our asset register. So these are, as Kieran had said, kind of a sneak peek into what's coming soon down the line for our asset register. We are always open to feedback. So again, these are just some of the report examples that we have done based on some of the conversations we've had with customers. But if you have any other ideas of what you'd like to see be changed or during the project, we're happy to kind of pre-configure some of these for you so they're kind of out of the box when they happen. And yeah, that's it. I think I have a summary. Do I have a summary page? Yeah, again, so just, you know this already because it's been quite popular, but again, it can be deployed quite quickly, and that's one of the benefits of Map Enterprise as a whole. Again, it can be deployed really, really rapidly, whether it be on-premise or in the cloud. Again, you can create, edit, and maintain your own workflows. So any of the organizations that use Map Enterprise for other workflows outside of asset management, they know this already. This isn't a black box with Map Enterprise. You can go in, and as legislation changes or requirements changes, you can update the functionality to add or remove information as needed. And again, it's expandable. So again, as we know, Map Enterprise is kind of like a bag of Lego. So if you did want to expand it out to have a mobile workflow, again, this is all possible inside the platform. So Kieran, I am going to hand back to yourself, and that's everything from me.
Thanks, Garrett. Actually, there's a couple of questions come in on the asset management, which I think we'll take now just while they're current. I think I'll jump in and try and give a few answers. So David asked, it's always when you show some new functionality, somebody thinks of the next piece. So David asked a really, really good question. If we acquire two adjoining assets, can you create a single disposal across the two acquisitions? That's not what we're developing, but it's definitely capable. So we do have a merge component in the rich client. So you could select two disposals, and then, or you could draw two areas. You could merge the two features and then you could either create two disposals and merge them, or you could draw Yeah, there's a business rule there because yeah, it could be two disposals and then merge and then push out. So yeah, definitely possible. Something we can think about now when we're doing it. I think we've been driven by single acquisition and multiple disposals. Yeah, this is opening up an area we hadn't talked about. Philip asked, "Is this standalone software?" Well, it's actually a point we didn't make this morning. Map Enterprise is a SaaS software solution. So in essence, in the asset register component, users can buy this for that reason only. Now they get the full stack, but because it's a SaaS model, you can buy pay as you go or as much as you need to eat or use. So yes, it can be a standalone solution if you're another vendor. We won't mention who they are. You can use this solution on its own without having to re-engineer your whole stack. So and that is the real power of Map Enterprise.
Yeah, and that is the piece, Kieran. I guess this is like with anything with Map Enterprise, any of these examples, whether it's a public dashboard or it's mobile, again, with it being a software as a service model, you can buy it at a really obviously low rate because you're only using it to solve one particular problem. So again, Philip, obviously, I know you use a different GIS, but again, so do most of the other councils have a mixture of actually different GISs. So again, when we're talking to them about asset management, they tend to just take this particular workflow, which is quite cost effective and easy to deploy, and it's to solve that particular problem without competing with your corporate GIS, for example.
And Philip asked, this is the last question, how long have you had this asset manager? Yeah, it's in its third, as Garrett mentioned earlier on, it's in its third iteration. So started on GMedia Web Map, went to GMedia Smart Client, has now evolved into Map Enterprise, and we've re-platformed and updated the technology. And yeah, it's been going nearly as long as I've been going in IMGS, which is
2003, I think, or 2004 maybe was the first Dublin's first property interest register.
Yeah, which is yeah. It's old, but the good thing is that we've been in the area for a long time, but we've re-platformed, we've used more modern technology, and I think this morning just shows with the BI reporting capabilities in Map Enterprise, there's a mobile element there if needs be. There's the reporting we've now shown with the FME integration. So it's as a solution, it really is. It's growing and growing and has huge potential. And of course, we're doing property mainly. One of our customers, Sligo, they do all their assets in it. So it's all very configurable down to what assets you want to manage and how you want to store that data.
Just land parcels in Philip's case, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's brilliant. And it evolves every time we kind of work with customers or with a steering committee. We end up kind of changing it. And that's the great thing about Map Enterprise. Those kind of little Lego components that you can just plug in and add in additional workflows, validations or business rules, etc.